high everywhere. Magic exists, but here, it's not pretty, it's a weapon, a drug, a death sentence. Welcome to Dorohedoro, the cult manga series by Q Hayashida. No heroes, no chosen ones, just a lizard-headed amnesiac named Caiman, his chainsaw-wielding best friend Nikaido, and one simple goal: find the sorcerer who cursed him and eat his face off. The world is split in two, up top, the sorcerer's city, elite, cruel, or down below. The whole, a filthy, rain-soaked slum where humans are lab rats for magic experiments. But here's the twist: sorcerers aren't gods, they're just powerful jerks, and humans fight back, with knives, shotguns, gyoza dumplings, and zero mercy. The art, brutal, dirty, beautifully ugly. The tone, black comedy soaked in blood, and the violence, over the top, but weirdly fun. This is not your little brother's manga, this is Dorohedoro, weird, wild, and wonderfully raw. Let's hit it. A hole. So this world was called by its inhabitants. Eternal dirt and ruin reigns here, largely because of the magicians who invade them from their world and use the hole as a testing ground. They kill people just for practice. For the residents of Mushroom Hogwarts, the local inhabitants are second-rate garbage. And right now, something out of the ordinary is happening in the hole. The crocodile grabbed a certain Matsumura, a novice magician, and stuck his mouth in front of his friend Fujita, who, by the way, is also not sweet. He is beaten by the lizard's girlfriend, Nikaido. By the way, he didn't grab Chekostogo because of hunger. Inside he had a face control. The marked one said the wrong one. At the same time, Pinocchio got out of the grip and used magic. But it didn't work on the lizard. And right after that, Nikaido broke his finger and slapped him in the face with all the dope. Matsumura was finally taken out of his mouth. When he found out that he was not the one, Caiman immediately used him up. But before his death, the magician managed to leave a farewell gift to a friend. The door between the worlds opened, and Fujita returned home. The Caiman is upset. They missed him. By the way, Nikaido has his own restaurant, and that's where they're going. The lizard has lost its memory, and sometimes it is tormented by hazy memories. The sinister man at the end of the alley, he did it to him. Who registered in his throat? What does he really look like? And why doesn't magic work on him? We'll find out later. And believe me, if you are getting acquainted with this story for the first time, you will be very surprised. We are transported to the world of magicians. Pinocchio reported the death of a comrade. He was pointed to a garbage pail. Let him return the egg here and pray for its rebirth. Immediately after the farewell ceremony, he came to the Markarian supplier. His name is Anson, and he doesn't believe that in a pile of shit called a hole there is someone who is able to resist magic. Besides, how did the suffocator survive? After all, his casting finger was broken. Fujita described the abusers and said he had an idea. At this time, our heroes are eating dumplings. Free from killing magicians and eating dumplings, the couple works for a while. Caiman is in the hospital. There he helps Dr. Waxu. Together, they save people affected by the actions of magicians. Right now, a bunch of poor devils have arrived, who have been turned into halfwit. Caiman's girlfriend looked at all this and decided to go to her place. The lizard promised to stop by not after work. Nikaido has a hungry beetle restaurant in the very center of the hole, but a good location plays a cruel joke with her. Because magicians in this area operate most often. Therefore, the girl suffers losses. True, the real threat of her comrade. After all, not only does he frighten customers, but he also eats dumplings like the last time. But it seems that fortune smiled on her today. Right at the doorstep of a hungry schoolboy, Nikaido immediately invited him inside and treated him to food. While cooking, she shared the latest news. A crooked-armed magician appeared in the hole, turning his victims into insects. He's such a talentless oaf that even Max looks like the pinnacle of technology against his background. If she wanted to see him, well, dreams come true. The boy turned out to be the same crooked hand and turned Nikaido after lunch. At this time, Pinocchio got hold of a machine gun and intended to return to the hole, but the door is closed. However, Ensign left him a message. In recent days, 10 magicians have disappeared in the hole. Apparently, they died at the hands of that strange couple. The appearance of a lizard, which is not affected by magic, is a serious problem, and instructs Fujichi to find the one who bewitched the fucking lizard and bring it to him. By the way, he guessed that Pinocchio would want to take a weapon with him. If he tarnishes the honor of the magicians, he will be killed. Hudzita laughed. If Anson is on his side, it means that the shitmaster has only a few days left to live. At this time, the Caiman decides to throw dumplings after the shift. They paid him a penny, but Nikaido, as always, will help out. However, the hungry beetle will soon begin to justify its name because Nikaido is one step away from complete transformation. The kid, seeing the visitor, decided that he had nothing more to do here and conjured the door. The lizard laughed. That's because Nikaido does not know how. Caught in such a long trap. The point is not up to the magician boiled with rage. He immediately tried to turn the Caiman into a beetle. But before he realized how powerless his magic was, he found himself in the mouth of a lizard. In addition, the door is locked on the other side. That's it. Caiman never found out what the guy inside said. Well, at least not Keita now sticks out a free dinner. However, as always, a scream was heard in the city of magicians. A pool of blood appeared right behind him. A little later, and met Fujita again. Using magic, he turned a Govit comb to guide to all mages. He will help him with the task. Well, now we need to find the lizard. We return to the Caiman. The dumplings, apparently, were overdue. Or there was the same tool from the old advertisements inside. After all, such a thing came out of the lizard. What is this man? He was inside. However, this is just a nightmare. He dreams about it all the time. Well, things are not waiting. After brushing his teeth and putting on a mask, he went to Nikaido for photos. They decided to find out what kind of person lives inside it and does not even pay for communal services. Maybe if they find out what he looks like, they can figure out what happened to him. Or maybe the Caiman will turn out to be a Prince Charming at all, and Nikaido will fall in love with him. The girl does not share his optimism. Finally, they have the photos. The lizard's heart is about to burst out of his chest, an exciting moment. But the solemn event will have to be postponed, right on the course of the door of magicians. She suddenly disappeared. There was a sinister figure behind her. At the same time, Fujita out on her own. Travel guide. Her name is Ebisu. They saw each other. And Mutsumura was alive then. She's probably still in the hole. Pinocchio rushed to the door, let him open it immediately. His finger has recovered, so he can do magic. At this time, Ebisu tries to open the door, but for some reason it does not give in. Our heroes manage to catch her. There will be no objections if her skull has dinner. Ebisu immediately cast a charge, but promptly snatched the soup from Nikai. And Caiman, with a swift blow, cut off all her fingers at once, depriving her of the ability to conjure. The Caiman tore off the mask. However, what difference does it make? He immediately sent her on a date to her lodger, and the guy recognized her. But before he could question her, the door appeared, and Fujita hurried to pull it back. However, the face remained to save the Caiman. Well, at least she's still alive. Well, here it is again, the Caiman did not have time. Well, at least you can see the pictures. However, apart from Carries, there is nothing there, and now meet Sin and Noah. A couple of brutal magicians cleaning up the garbage, and often sends them to do dirty work. Not that they were thrilled with her, but they usually work conscientiously. Let's leave them for a while. Caiman stopped by Nikaido's before work, but she is not there. I left him something to eat. Don't let him worry. She's cold because of the rain, and she decided to rest under the covers. A little later, while playing Hanafuda with Vox, the lizard learns that rains only happen in the hole. And they're radioactive. Well, I mean, they contain remnants of magical smoke. And extremely harmful to Normus. The doctor is sarcastic. Surely Nikaido considers him her pet. Maybe so, but the stinging jabs didn't help him win. Caiman beat him in this game. Now he has to pay him 3 times as much this month. After humiliating the employer, the lizard went to work. As soon as I finished, I sat down to eat. But the doctor did not let him enjoy a double portion of dumplings. But the garbage, it will have to be burned. However, it was not easy, someone on the inside. Back to our couple. Noah has already worked 7. I wonder how Senpai is doing. His heart is pounding. However, it's not the time yet. He's not going to die today. Worthless shit-eaters who don't value their lives are lying at his feet. They are to blame that died. Sin feels bad, but he had to endure because Noah is already near. It turns out that he has 7. Yes, there is the last one left. But it's not worth taking into account. He's a pathetic old man. The door opened. The last passenger is surprised. The cleaners killed his friend, and he didn't even smell the smoke. They don't need smoke to take out such garbage. This audacity infuriated the old man. Now he will show them what an elderly man who has increased the retirement age is capable of. Xing calmly asked his partner to prepare a garbage bag. Now the pension will see what real magic is capable of. At this time, the Caiman communicates with the bag. Turns out he's a magician. Someone turned him into this and threw him into a hole. The lizard decided to look inside the bag. Even he was surprised by what he saw. The trash is sure he hates magicians, so let him kill him. On the way to Wat, he said that he woke up from the heartbeat of this freak. He was careless and got caught in his smoke cloud. The Caiman craves details, but the inhabitant of the bag does not intend to talk anymore. I had to burn it. Smoke escaped from the chimney. At parting, Mac thanked his savior. Immediately after that, the Caiman returned to the doctor for his money. After that, he decided to visit Nikaido. He has a shitty feeling, even though he has killed many magicians. This one was special. In the Hungry Beetle, everything is unchanged. The lizard really wanted to share his experiences with a friend, but decided not to load it. However, as soon as he went outside, the girl looked out the window and offered him a snack. Well, who will refuse a free portion of gyoza? Let's go back to the utilizers. Noah drags a garbage bag. By the way, she has a new assignment. The mushroom picker ordered to cure some girl. Sin also has a mission. But before that, it would be nice to eat. Noah was so happy that the package was already torn. What was left of the magician fell to the floor. They shouldn't have bought up at the traffic light. Sin asked her not to worry. He takes full responsibility. Time passes. Ensign is booking a table. He was assured that fresh veal liver appeared in their establishment. This confused the grubophile. Anyway, it's time to talk to the old man. However, grandfather decided that a grub in the face would be more eloquent than words. He doesn't intend to talk. Soon there will be many who want to cut off his impudent head. These cool threats did not impress him. At this time, Fujita on his broom brought the poor feller studio. They need to dress up. However, Ebisu has lost her mind after the lizard's cavity and is not able to dress herself. So Pinocchio had to dress her up. After a while, they arrived at the reception. Noah and Sin were already sitting there. And to put it mildly, Fujita completely fucked up. But I was also surprised that the Zoomers have no complexes at all. A man came to them. He will take them to their table. Noah immediately took off her usual clothes. It turned out that she had prepared for dinner, although she had previously assured that she did not care about this event. Hudzita, like me, was very surprised for the first time, because according to her complexion, she would not say that she was a girl. Here they are. It turned out that Noah is Enna's cousin, and she doesn't really want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with him. Well, then to business. How did they cope with the task? Everything is tip-top. Now we need to discuss Sin's new mission. Hart had warned right away. He was tired of shoveling sad shit. He wants to take on a serious case. That's good. And had a bigger fish in store for him. Fujita is thrilled. He immediately understood who it was about. A lizard appeared in the hole, which is not affected by magic. He needs to be killed. Sin's heart began to pound tenfold. He's burning with impatience. As for Noah, she will have to heal the mind Ebisu. The girl may know something about the magician who enchanted the lizards. Well, when all things have been discussed, you can eat. But before that, the mushroom picker asked everyone to look at the stage. Now Itaki and Maitaki will demonstrate what those who need to be killed look like. Moments later, they were reincarnated as our heroes. Sin is not impressed, some suffocating. The clones rushed to the Ken. How's his liver? Nothing. He only eats mushrooms. At the same moment, they put guns to his head, but instantly knocked him out of his hands. Sin doesn't understand why she threw the fork. But it's not needed to be rescued. He just wanted to play with them. In the same second, he released smoke and turned the assassin's grief into mushrooms. Having dealt with them, he ordered the sucker to find the real Itaki and Maitaki. If they are dead, let them use their bodies for fertilizer. And let these mushrooms be dragged to the kitchen, as usual. Shino suddenly threw up. They realized what they were eating, and believes that good should not be lost. Meanwhile, Nikaido found mushrooms in the hole. The Caiman tilts. Mages have absolutely ceased to appear. However, a plate of branded dumplings quickly restored his mood. Let's run through the next chapter at an accelerated pace. Our heroes have learned about the magician, which can help the Caiman regain its real face. But he lives far away. They immediately went there and quickly found the right magician. However, the Caiman did not recognize him and out of habit sent his mouth. The tenant is already settling in with might and main. Compote brewed, put the table, in general, kicks. I even made a face mask. But he doesn't need guests. Besides, this one's not the one. After learning the answer, the lizard was going to kill him, but Nikaido stopped him. This is a healer magician. The lizard allowed him to his muzzle, and he stabbed me with dozens of needles. It's good that he heals the forces of the needle, not the earth. While the sorcery is working, the magician suggested Nikaido to make a quick layout. What a horror! They are in serious danger. The heart. What? Will there be health problems? No idea. But it threatens their lives. The procedure is over. They can go. The Caiman's entire muzzle itches. But he put on the mask anyway. A little later, he felt that something was happening to him and hurried to remove the mask. And then he literally tore off his face. But underneath it was the same muzzle. He just shed his skin. Once a year, there comes a night in the hole when something truly terrible confronts the inhabitants. Corpses rise from their graves. A small group of fighters have to go hunting. Of course, our heroes can't miss an opportunity. The doctor, by the way, also decided to join. A lot of blood will be spilled tonight under the black sky of the hole. Back to the magicians. Kaski's stepsister is tied up, but her healer is not in place. And is furious. He sends Fujita after his sister. She's finishing lunch with Sin at the same time. By the way, he ate everything faster, so he pays for dinner herself. And by the way, before, when he lived in a hole, and life was much more complicated, he ate even faster. We will learn about his harsh life in the hole a little later. Be patient. Fujita ran to them, but they were already going to return. And now the moment has come. Right now, Noah attempted to turn the vegetable back into a human. Her magic is starting to work. And after a couple of moments, Eba's face returned to normal. But the memory will be restored a little later. Sin asked, well, now is it possible to proceed to the next task? Naturally, it's time for them to go to the hole. Cemetery 23.30. The night of the sinister dead is about to begin. Scoring is planned seriously. Even the monks wore sneakers instead of sandals. Ox decided to show his uber weapon poisonous dangos. As soon as a zombie eats it, it will immediately turn off. By the way, a raffle is being held in honor of this night. The essence is simple. For a certain number of points, a thing is supposed to be. Nikaido noticed a meat grinder, worth 180 points. Caiman immediately fit into this case. For the sake of dumplings, he is ready to help. Points are awarded for tokens that need to be removed from the killed zombies. Midnight. Zombies rise from the graves. Everyone who was killed by magicians wakes up and comes for the living. The crazy Kroshalova begins. The western area of the hole 12.05. The quartet of magicians on the spot. Sin is not surprised. This dump hasn't changed at all since he lived here. But now they need to wait for Cabas to regain his memory. That's the only way they can start looking, and the crowds of zombies will help brighten up the expectations. Having dealt with several, but also asked, has it always been like this here? No. Previously, zombies just watched TV and fought in the comments. Apparently, this is a side effect due to magic. Before they knew it, they were surrounded by the target audience of contact. The eastern area of the hole 2.30. Caimans and Keita are crushing the dead with might and main. This year, there are especially many of them. But they don't have many tokens left to collect. By the way, where's the Great Dane? And he got lost, and a zombie suddenly appeared, scared him, so that he defended the axe. A hole? The square in front of the department store. 4.30. Our heroes are already eating. According to the plans, have a quick snack and return to the street. Suddenly a friend called out to them. It was the Caiman that cleared the west side. No. Strange. Someone killed all the zombies and didn't even take off the badge. However, the mysterious fighters are already here. The lizard probably tastes good. We'll give a try. Seeing his mask, Nikaido remembered the prediction. Fujita called out to Ebisa. Let him look at the death of the lizard. But she's not up to it. She's already having lunch with might and main. But also angry. In vain only the smoke was shitting. If anyone is interested, the doc did survive. Poisonous dangos still work. Caiman was finally getting into what was happening, right on the course of magic, and he missed him very much. He was about to rat on the wizard pots, but Nikaido asked him to be careful, not the cleaners. Besides, she has a bad feeling. Isn't that the heart the healer was talking about? But the lizard doesn't care. He leads a goal and sweeps away all obstacles. The blades were immediately put into action. However, Sin easily stopped one of them with his hammer, and then with a kick, he sat the lizard on his ass. Nikaido is already rushing to help, but Noah blocked the way. Usually she doesn't get high beating up the little ones, but what can I do? Nikaido responded with a kick to the chest. Not bad. This was followed by a second blow, but she did not tolerate it either. She's a good fighter. Maybe they should be friends. Without waiting for an answer, the big guy decided to kill her. The blow was blocked, though at the cost of hand. Taking advantage of the moment, Nikaido prescribed a jaundice healing kick implanted, but she has immunity. It's a pity, she would have made sense. Noah punched the pillmaster in the stomach with all her might. The poor thing flew into the wall and landed near the Caiman. He tried to revive her. But Sin didn't go anywhere. The enraged lizard used his blade. But Sin blocked all the punches. The weapon couldn't stand it. Bossin immediately rushed at him and drove a hammer into his head. Blood gushed out, and the lizard fell. Well, how much shadow? Okay, now we need to cure Ebisa again. She hasn't eaten anyone yet. But this is already a house, otherwise it will start raining soon. Suddenly, a second blade pierced Sin's heart. Early on, he wrote off the Caiman from the shields. Taking advantage of his hesitation, he grabbed it. Sin saw a sinister silhouette inside the mouth. But this is not the one. Setagawa doesn't. We need to finish the job. After getting out of the mouth, he cuts off the Caiman's head. A fountain of blood burst out of the neck, but someone's face appeared in it. Nikaido came to her senses. Grabbing the lizard, she looked at her hand. Once she swore not to do this, but there is no way out. Biting her finger, she uses magic and opens the door. After taking the severed head, she leaves, but is upset. This girl outsmarted her. But that's not the main problem. Sin is injured. Ebisu is also trying to devour him. Hole, Eastern District, 6.45. The dog still survived, and suddenly he saw a magic door, and next to Nikaido and Caiman. They're alive. But why is he without a head? 5 days later, the central hospital. There's nothing wrong with our hero. He's already coming back to normal. The Great Dane is aware that the lizard is able to grow tails. But here's the head. Caiman smiled. It would be cooler if a human grew up in its place. But what about Nikaido? He discharged her 2 days ago. But he should have known. She's a magician. Of course, the lizard thought Doc was crazy. Some time later, Nikaido wonders, what if he realized who she is? Then they will stop being friends. Here in fact, he is, but not empty-handed. He brought a meat grinder. Friends have to keep their word. And from her, by the way, dumplings. Of course. In Restic Log Doc. The Caiman had forgotten his head. Maybe I should put it in formalin. A little later they did so. Caiman decided to take her with him. Passing by the alley, he saw a headless body with a jar. Black smoke was oozing out of the neck, and there was a human head in the jar. But it's just a dream. Nikaido woke him up. When the girl saw his head in the jar, she admitted that it was a sickening sight. Vox said the same thing. The Caiman is alarmed. Who is he really? Nikaido decides to tell something. She withheld the details of their first meeting. One day, in that alley, she found a 2-meter decapitated body. First, she shoved it in the bag and went to seek help from friends. But when I came back, there was no body. And there were bloody footprints. Later, they noticed a strange tramp. He was wearing a body bag. It must have been him. But who brought his body there? Caiman decided to ask for help. He thought he needed to train. That guy was too strong. Nikaido, of course, agreed. Besides, the guy's face, she seemed familiar. We are transported to the magician, and is testing a new model of broom. In addition to outstanding flight characteristics, it also sucks dust perfectly. Sin came to the mushroom picker. There is a conversation. Personal. And offered to take a ride. So the lizard survived without a head. Yes, but Sin is not going to quit his job. However, he needs help. He remembered the face of the guy who was in the throat. Both the lizard and his lodger had a cross-shaped pattern on their eyes. He tensed. Well, he has a magician friend. A Turk to call. His ability to make dolls will come in handy. They're heading towards him. At the same time, you will need to find out about the lizard's girlfriend. Her name is Nikaido. The central hospital. Doc and our heroes decided to conduct an autopsy of the severed head. Nikaido records everything on video. Doc cut the head open, but the inside is empty. Suddenly the light went out. We'll have to go to the switch. Fortunately, the Caiman has a flashlight. Nikita and the lizard go, but along the way he lost it and then found himself in the alley. Suddenly he heard Doc's voice. Someone was standing behind him. He had something in his hands. The stranger turned around and left. The light finally appeared, but the head disappeared somewhere. Nikaido hopes that the camera captured at least something, but there was nothing but their voices. The Caiman thought that the bald man had stolen his head. But of course not. They decide to search the hospital. Actually, because of the Caiman's seizure, they did not see the sinister figure on the video. As a result, they never found the head. But after the searches, Nikaido, as usual, treated him to gyoza. Back to the magicians. But even in the library, he is looking for a way to help Ebisu before she completely rotted. However, before that it is worth fortifying yourself. The central hospital. Nikaido decided to trade dumplings in the hospital. Caiman is also there helping the poor guy, whose magicians turned one hand into knives. Because of this, he constantly cuts the other one. The girl carefully looked at his stitches, and then went to the doc's office. He yelled at her. Let him stop with dumplings, otherwise all patients have a stench from their mouths. He eats sushi on the sly. Nikaido asked if he still had 10-year-old newspapers. She is interested in one event. Yes, there is. After all, after that incident, the hospital was opened. Nikaido rummaged around and found what she was looking for. Yes, that's him. It was not for nothing that she thought she had already seen this magician. All the victims were hammered. At this time, the puppet master Turk receives his guests. He is ready to demonstrate his skills to the Shin. Let him think of someone. Sin introduced his partner and filled the jar with smoke. The master is gone. And explained that he created the dolls are no different from ordinary people. They have the same character, but they can't speak or conjure. But their peculiarity is that they always go to their original. It turns out that once they make a doll of this guy, they will come out to him. The master and the apprentice brought out a large tray. Sin thought it was food. Well, in that case, have a nice day. Noah was inside. Sin is confused. He didn't expect her to be exactly the same. Well, let them finally remove it. The master was in time. As soon as the clone disappeared, the original Noah came to them. She managed to cure Abisa, but now she's talking to herself. And now the master will show them how to prepare a doll. And you know, he's kind of a nice friend of Ablamev. The process of making a doll resembles a cooking show. In a few minutes, the duplicate of the guy who was stuck in the Caiman's mouth was ready. A couple of minutes later, he was dressed. Well, that's it. It remains only to follow him. First, he took them to a cheap store. The salesman there has been working recently, so he didn't recognize him. Abisa, by the way, decided to change her clothes. That's just the bra I took for myself is not at all the right size. Then there was an expensive restaurant. The waiter has been working there for 30 years, but has not seen this guy. Then he led them to the area where the weakest magicians gather. Here was a hotel. He brought them into the room. Sin didn't stand on ceremony and knocked down the door. Let Pinocchio Sibisu search the room, and they will find the manager. When they came down, they found out that the guest from the 8th room had not appeared for more than a year. But the room was paid for 2 years in advance. Some kind of muddy type. Kokoro. This is Fujita. They immediately hurried back. It's not a pleasant sight. The clone decided to try dumplings. A beaten Fujita was lying nearby. It all started after Ebisu found some kind of box. There really was something in the clone's hands. Without further ado, Sin sat him down on his ass. Is this a safe? The cross-eyed man immediately took up arms and rushed at his abuser. While Senpai is having fun, she is forced to treat these two. Finally, the heart head was finished. It cured the fools. Apparently, there's something really valuable in the box. Using the smoke, Sin opened it. There was someone's rotten head, but also restored it. This is the guy. It turns out that the one Sin saw inside the lizard is already dead. In fact, they won't learn anything. But maybe if they take the head to Anne, it will shed light on the whole situation. The next chapter is filler, so let's run through the main events. The Caiman comes to the Hungry Beetle, but does not find any Kata there, only an advertisement for a fighting tournament. The main prize is 1 million yen. He rummaged around, but he didn't find anything, but he might have noticed something really interesting. Then the landlord comes to the diner. It turns out that Nikaido owed him. Putting 2 and 2 together, Caiman understood. Nikaido definitely decided to participate in the tournament. Arriving at the appointed place and paying the fee, the lizard met with another victim of the magicians. It turned out that he had seen Nikaido 2 days ago. But she lost to a certain Red Break, the local champion. No one has ever been able to endure it. The secret of success is simple. Partner with Red pumps his smoke. It was Caiman's turn to fight him. Just before that, they put a muzzle on him. Red, seeing him, trembled with anticipation. It's a midge killer. They must have put a lot of money on it. The lizard, not knowing where his girlfriend was, immediately attacked the big man. At this time, his partner opened the door. There are losers lying there. Kata is not among them. No matter how much he beats Red, he doesn't care. But the lizard began to get tired. In the end, he was sat down with a knife. But thanks to this, the Caiman got it. This champion strengthened by magic. After all, they are looking for people of stable magics during duels. But what happens to them later? They sell them? Most likely, his girlfriend has already been bought. Surely some magician is not having fun right now. Nikaido came to her senses. Now it's clear why she lost. Suddenly she noticed a Caiman in the monitor. His affairs are getting worse. Suffering from a comrade betrayed her strength. She was able to free herself. It remains to deal with the bastard magician. If only the Caiman could stand it. The bald one opened fire. But Nikaido, masterfully dodging, shortened the distance and with a lightning strike, cut off his head. In the same second, the magic developed and a simple Weezer appeared in the ring. The Caiman took him out with one punch. He won. But Nikaido is no more. Would he never taste her gyoza again? When he came back to cook, there was no limit to the lizard's joy. Here they are in the Hungry Beetle. Nikaido took some money with her. Caiman thinks it's theft. But where to go? He's still giving away for free, and she's all in debt. Yes, these guys were criminals. Everyone has big plans for this day. Caiman hopes to solve the mystery of the identity, and Anne hopes to find the perfect partner. We will soon find out what will come of it. By the way, Shin, but Ebisu are going to a party, and they don't want to take Pinocchio, he's too small fry. Anne is handing out nose plugs to everyone. Before they go inside, it's better to put it on. Oh, thanks to him, because there were dead people hanging inside instead of a chandelier. This party is held once a year. Corpses are collected for her throughout the year. But he doesn't understand why he's itching so much. These are flies. And since they are here, soon there will be magicians who give life. They are a very rare phenomenon because this ability borders on uniqueness. But they have plenty of opponents. Soon they will show what they are capable of. By the way, someone recognized Ebisu. He also has a cross on his eye. And he is surprised. Is this girl with her son? By the way, Ebisu was on the guest list. That's the only reason they took her with them. And here are those 4 whom they dragged themselves here. The ritual begins. The magician climbs into the eye socket and picks there with a spoon. And explains, there is a small neoplasm in the head of all magicians. It has the form of a devil, and their life is contained in it. The magician took it out and emitted white smoke. A little devil appeared on the spoon. He was returned to his place and the corpse is already there. N is thrilled. And now the true purpose of their visit. Sin Noi must kill her partner. He's going to take her for himself. In general, he was looking for a time magician, but she will do as well. While the cool guys were busy, Carabas stole Ebis. It turns out that he is a magic dealer. Supplies all magicians with a fun powder. He treats Abisa with it. After consuming it, its magic power increased by a multiple. However, the brains still did not fall into place. This was Markarian's last mistake. Back to the reincarnator. The girl complains. Her magic isn't enough to control him. Her partner asks her to use gunpowder. And then the Blue Knight flies into their room. Everything became clear. Soen had his eye on her. He immediately used the accelerator and released our heroes into the smoke. His strength is that he is able to melt any object. Well, let him try to melt the hammer. And he did it. Arm and hammer that's disappeared. However, it did not lose its head, and instantly restored his hand along with the weapon. The second squirt was killed. N, by the way, managed to steal the magic. She's his partner now. But then he noticed the black partner. And immediately blew smoke. He is against the propaganda of accelerators. Black powder is a disgrace for a magician. However, this is not all. There were hooves under the dress. It turned out that this little animal actually resurrected everyone. And the girl was just using his power. But she also really wants to choose his name herself. But let it be the turn. Meanwhile, in the central area of the whole hospital, Caiman swallowed the camera, but nothing came out. Can you try medications for parasites? Dox was sarcastic. Well, yes, they will wait until the man comes out of the throat along with the shit. A little later, N has already arranged housing for his pet. The others visited him. He has news for them about Nikaido. In early childhood, she went into a hole. It is unknown what kind of magic she has and why she went. There is a possibility that she bewitched him. By the way, there is a severed head hanging here. Anne is going to revive her, so he settled the animal here. And for sure it will be possible to revive some rare mushrooms. By the way, Cabas is slowly regaining his mind. She even rolled up a list of names for the animal. Cookie, Cocky, Twix, and further down the list. But N had already chosen the name Kikaraga himself. By the way, the devil even made a mask for the animal. But Pinocchio is still not the lot. We return to the hole. Our heroes are going to a certain doctor. He's researching magicians. This is his mansion. The lizard explained. This guy often eating the corpses of mages from the hospital, but lately not get in touch. Therefore, Caiman took the corpses to him on his own. Strange, the bell does not work, and the door is not locked. There is a gloomy atmosphere inside. They decide to explore the mansion. Caiman asks friend to be careful. There may be ghosts here. Nikaido doesn't believe in them. Suddenly someone's head appeared. The Caiman almost jumped out of his pants, but quickly recovered. Moving further and further, the lizard expresses the hope that the old man did not die of old age. He hoped that someday the old one would tell more about magicians, otherwise there were fewer of them in the hole. Yes, life is calmer now, but he needs information. At least go to the world of magicians yourself. By the way, if it works out, will she go with him? Nikita, after a pause, agreed. Seeing her tension, the lizard tried to calm her friend down. Suddenly, Caiman saw someone behind the partition, but after checking, it turned out that there was no one there. And all because it's already on the ceiling. The Caiman fell. Finally, Nikaido saw this entity. There is no need to be afraid, you need to fight. The girl immediately pounced on this ghost, and after a couple of blows it evaporated. After bringing the lizard to his senses, she said that they were leaving. But not so fast. They spent a whole hour running around and doing nothing. However, luck smiled on them. They came across the professor's office. There are corpses of magicians and their masks everywhere. Another sound. They went out into the corridor, and then Nikaido realized. The whole mansion is distorted because of magic. There was smoke in the corpses, which turned this place into a maze, but there is no one. However, this time, they managed to find a kitchen. Nikaido immediately cooked up a festive dinner. Yes, friends, I didn't mention it, but they have a new year there. And now they can meet it delicious. The ghost reappeared behind the Caiman. Nikaido didn't bother him. She realized that this silhouette was the result of magical smoke. The lizard finally decided to say, he is grateful that she became his girlfriend. Whatever happens, let it be his girlfriend from now on. This touched Nikaido. She decided to confess something to him. But Caiman interrupted her. There's snow in the window. And then a young man came up to them. Are they eating his favorite dish? Yes, well done. He's Dr. Kasukawa, studying magicians in this mansion. He looks like this because the magicians turned him into a child. But he even likes it. All this time he was vacuuming, so he didn't come out to them for so long. Smoke is harmful to people. Many guests suffered from hallucinations, so he collected it with a vacuum cleaner. Without smoke, everything becomes normal. Well, now he wants to show them something. He has a door connecting the hole and the world of magicians. He managed to create it on his own. Does the Caiman want to try it? The lizard put on a rotten rabbit mask. He's ready to visit the magicians. The doctor gave them a spray, thanks to which they will be able to return. Caiman doesn't understand what this masquerade is about, but this is just a precaution. It's not enough to stumble upon those cleaners again. In addition, Doc gave them a guidebook. The Caiman is angry. Clothes, masks, and a book. How he hates it all. They're ready. Caiman asked Nikaido not to leave him if he turned out to be a freak. But she can't promise that. The door is made of the flesh and bones of dead magicians. It's time to make a magical massacre. Here they are on the spot. They were immediately noticed. Counted for the lucky ones. These can come and go as you please. The Caiman was already reaching for his weapon. Now there will be a moment of ultraviolence. But Nikaido immediately stopped her. They won't know anything that way. You need to keep your composure. A taxi driver hailed them. They don't want to hang out on the carpet. At this time, Fujita is pouring advertising. He was clicked by old acquaintances. And what is he doing here? Fujita snapped, for which he immediately received a slap in the face. Matsumura was killed, and he didn't even take revenge. And quickly found a new partner. What kind of geek is that? Abiso was hit on the head again. She is beaten again and again. Fujita shouts that Enem will not forgive this, but they are not afraid of his name. He will never have partners. He uses magic to save Ebis. But that only made them angrier. Now they will show him what happens to such losers. But suddenly night came to the rescue. Sin was also there. Apparently, they like to mock the weak. He wasn't interested in the answer. He just ripped out the freak's heart. For a couple of nights, they washed down a human sandwich, and then took the poor guy to an ice cream stall. Fujita asked them to take him as a partner. But they are too lazy, let them eat ice cream before it melts. At this time, the Caiman reported that he would not return to the hole until he regained his former appearance. But because they have no money even. Speaking of which, how do I pay off Fly John? And in general, why pay? They're not in a hole. The Caiman took off his mask and grabbed him. As expected, the guy in the mouth did not recognize him. Right after that I clicked with the taxi driver. However, now there is no one to manage the carpet. Our heroes flew down. He also drove a wallet and landed nearby. Life seems to be getting better. Meanwhile, in Kikuraga's hideout, the one who knows everything has been resurrected. En's team arrived at the scene, however, the head only shuffles with blood, but also offered to create a body for him. Maybe that's how he'll talk. A sucker came to Anne with the news. They found their lair. At this time, Caiman and Nikaido successfully hid the corpse. However, a certain devil saw it. Our heroes are walking around the city. Caiman got hungry and offered to stop by the cafe. They were met by a hostess and from the threshold offered to use their infernal shit. It is directly connected to the garden. Searing relief is guaranteed. Caiman asked me to just bring food. First of all, they were served cocktails at the expense of the establishment. They are created in the image and likeness of hell. The Caiman is puzzled. Grotesque stuff they serve here. How about something interesting? Nikaido decided to leave her friend for a while. She needs to talk to the manager. If anyone is interested in how the Caiman is going to eat, it's just enough for him to remove the lid. Nikaido met the devil that was watching them. He handed her a card. Caiman is testing the magic kitchen. The pyrogan turned out to be quite good. In fact, the same dumplings. Now it's time to try a cocktail. But a couple of sips made him really want to go to the toilet. Once there, he couldn't believe his eyes. And then he lost consciousness. Dozens of memories flashed through my mind at the same time, and noticed how his head was wrinkling. He seems to be having a nightmare. Finally he spoke. His name is Risu. Caiman came to his senses. What a strange dream. At the same moment, a column of flame burst out of the shock. The toilet is flushed by fire. The user gets a thrill known as the scream of the dead. About a minute after flushing. Magicians are finished in everything after all. After leaving the push, he immediately bumped into Nikaido. She saw some guy. He has the same crosses. The guys decide to follow him, but in the end, he managed to escape. In the den, his comrades asked who was watching him. He has no idea. Noah and Sin also arrived there. Senpai asked her not to make gestures and take off her mask. They're here to find out. The cross-eyes listened to them attentively, but they will not lead them to their boss. They're En's cleaners. Sin assured them that they only need their boss. They won't do anything to them. Cross-eyed decided to put an end to it. But he closed with a shin. He immediately grabs the hammer. The others started shooting, but the bullets can't get through the smoke. Then a knife was used, but it turned out to be useless. As for Noah, she survived. They will put the bag on the last one. Nikaido and the lizard noticed the smoke and decided to check. There was only a pile of corpses inside. What happened here? And who are these cross-eyed people? Caiman confessed. His memories are coming back. They need a man named Risu. The rest of us are going to the boss. The package contains what's left of the survivor. He said he saw his boss. This gives at least some hope. Abisa asked for a bag, but also trusted her, but in vain. The ambassadors in Thanasia vomited the contents of the bag. Nikaido and Caiman settled in Muhagen's hut. The girl did not want to return to this world, but for the sake of helping a friend, she is ready for anything. After breakfast, they split up to speed up the search. We agreed to meet here in the evening. At this time, Anne had already assembled a new body for Risu. It works on smoke. It even has a sensor that displays the amount of smoke. Anne explained, even in this state, he would be able to recreate a little smoke. Rice tried to move. It turns out, he recognized his benefactor and immediately asked him not to kill him, and was even surprised. The cleaners are back. They have a souvenir. By the way, Pinocchio cleaned everything from vomit, which is not surprising. Now you can and drink tea. And demands that Reese dump everything he knows. But he doesn't know anything because he was a beginner. And he's always grinning, which annoys Anne wildly. At the same time, Nikaido went to Urin. Purchase and sale of magic smoke. She brought her smoke to the dealer. He immediately checked it out. It is of the highest quality. Grandfather is ready to buy it. He brought everything he had. Nikaido is happy. Grandfather too, because he will get 3 times more on the black market for such a product. However, as soon as he lost his vigilance, Nikaido killed him. No one needs to know about her magic. It's a necessary sacrifice. After that, she went to a familiar devil. For the sake of the meeting, I spent everything that helped out. This was enough for 30 minutes. He didn't think they would see each other again. Nikaido told all about the Caiman, but he has no idea who could do such a thing. But about Rice, he can help. He's at ends now. As for the cross-eyed ones, they're just a bunch of people who don't have magic. But why doesn't she use her magic? It will be faster this way. Nikaido doesn't do magic anymore. Does she want to take Risa from Anne? It's too dangerous. Why would she risk so much for this lizard in the first place? Loves him. No, they're just close friends. Asa decided to help her. He will open the door to the residence of Anne. That's all he can do for her. The interrogation continues. What kind of magic does Risu have? None. Meanwhile, Fujita is already carrying Comrade Risu. He recognized him. It's Miyamoto. Long time no see. Anne is trying to figure out if this guy is dumb or pretending. NS6 warns that someone has broken into the residence. But also happy. Finally, it will be possible to distract yourself. She immediately runs down and immediately attacks Nikaido. She managed to dodge. The answer did not take long to wait, except the kick was blocked. The case of trash is one of them. At the same time, Caiman is already at home, waiting for Nikaido. His search was unsuccessful. But what about her? Sometimes she is capable of stupidity. A little later, he made soup, sausages, and beer. It remains to wait for a friend. But can it? After all, the stomach rumbles so much. Nakai is even trying to knock out the Jauntus with might and main. But no matter what she does, it's all in vain. Although she doesn't need to win, but also grabbed her. However, Nikaido used this to properly smear her in the face, and then deprive her of her eyes. She had to take off her mask. She is ready to continue the battle. Except Nikaido's already gone. Meanwhile, En and Sin are examining the door. The intruder managed to create it in this place. Impressive. No, it's the devil's door though. The 6 supplements the report. Invasion was asking where Risa was. Heart had understood. Boss Cross-Eye. At this time, the newly reborn is trying to get out. Miyamoto recalled he in no case should not talk about him. Risa just grinned. By the way, let Miyamoto say who killed him. Nikaido is trying to find him at this time, but the residence is too big, and the oil is everywhere. Suddenly she saw a cross-eye in the window opposite. This is hardly a coincidence. It is Rice. The girl takes acceleration and jumps, at the same moment, and returns with her retinue. Risu had no idea that he was about to be kidnapped. Nikaido flies into the room and beats Miyamoto. After enough rice, but Anne managed to catch his hand. The girl did not lose her head and immediately hit him in the face, and then masterfully dodged Sin's blow. It's unforgivable. Succumbing to anger and casts a black cloud. There are more and more mushrooms. Nikaido, realizing the depth of the ass she fell into, decided to run away. The rice must have turned into a mushroom. She needs to get back. Poor devil's Emoto turns into a colony again. As for Risu, he's alive. After all, and smoke is already streaming through his plastic veins. And Padasinovic's outburst of rage didn't hurt him. And he also remembered, he was killed by someone from the Cross Eyes. Miyamoto wants to say something in exchange for salvation. But they're not friends anymore. Poked over. But I also saw him running away. Realizing that something had gone wrong, she went up to them. Everyone is slowly turning into mushrooms. She had to stop it. Without further ado, Noah hit her brother hard on the head. Meanwhile, Nikaido is already nearby. But there is a problem. A vulture burst out of her back, which, apparently, increased the size of her breasts. It's even kind of strange that the author of the manga is a woman and not an okuhiroi with his craving for such images. Nikaido managed to get to her friend and asked him to cut off the mushroom before the magic spread to the whole body. Let's go back to the residence. Noah needs to cure everyone. She decided to start with Impai. We'll have to suck the smoke out from the inside. And came to his senses. He didn't do it. Apparently, that woman turned into a mushroom. And what about his pet? She's fine. 4 hours after applying mushroom magic, the central hospital of the whole. In the operating room, a complex operation is successfully performed to extract a huge mushroom from Nikaido's back. After that, the lizard made everyone a cup of tea. Nikaido was lucky that the Caiman brought her here right away. If he had delayed, it would have been too late. It turned out that after the emergency amputation, blood gushed out of her back. The lizard decided not to take any chances and sprayed the spray. There was no smoke, you'll swing. But the professor warned him. By the way, he took the mushroom for himself. Kasuko would be planning to leave, but before that he asked. Apparently, their darned baby was returning to the hole. Well, yes, only he was capable of blowing off the head of their beloved lizard. But now it seems he's chasing stupid heart-shaped masks. Caiman craves details. This hospital hasn't always been like this. 10 years ago, people fought back against magicians. There were even special squads mercilessly slaughtering them until Sin destroyed them all. His father was from a hole, and his mother was a magician. It was later revealed that she was killed by a punitive squad shortly after his birth. Sin did not know how to conjure and lived quietly with his father. But one day in his father's carpentry shop, he injured his thumb. The foreman was nearby. He wanted to help the kid, but noticed black dust mixed with blood, a sign of a magician. But he immediately called someone because they paid well for information about magicians. The squad was not long in coming. They immediately pounced on Sin, but his father helped him escape. The foreman stood in his way, but the Blues managed to take out the rat. He managed to escape. The father tried to save his son. He said he wasn't a magician, but when it became clear who his wife was, he was captured. Sin's business was, to put it mildly, lousy. Posters of his face were hung all over the hole, but he didn't care. He was going to take his father and get out of the hole. When he returned home, he found his father tied up. Before killing him, they brutally tortured him. And it was all a trap. They knew the puppy would come back. It remains to take out the trash. It was at that moment that Sin's heart began to pound furiously for the first time. Blinded by hatred, he attacked them. The only weapon was a hammer. One of the operatives wounded him, but this only provoked the young man. With each new corpse, this violence turned him on more and more. He reveled in each new victim. When it was over, he ran away. He was being hunted. But the guy was always one step ahead. It lasted 3 months. One day Vox and Kasukabs were on duty at the clinic. Then they heard a terrible groan. It was a bloody Sin. He slashed his hands, trying to produce magic smoke. Sin laughed. Let them call the cops, even if they cut down the money. It was out of the question. Kasukaba didn't want to mess with fanatics. He was more interested in his magic. He always wanted to delve into magic. Let him show him the house channels. Kasukaba insisted on anesthesia, but strongly refused. Vox tried to reason with the guy. His old man wouldn't like this way. But Sin is not interested in lectures about correctness. The motto of his family has always been an eye for an eye. The professor found the channels of both his hands. Now he will be able to practice magic. But sewing your hands back on is not an option. They'll just rot. Sinu believed that he would find a magician who could help him, well as he wants. The professor only asked to show him his magic once. Sin promised that he would do it. After the operation, he was released. The guy assured that he would finish here with one business and go into the world of magic. First of all, he robbed a kid who was selling dumplings. A few hours later, 46 carrots were brought to the hospital, chopped into identical pieces. Despite their injuries, they were all alive. Kasuko would have realized it was that guy's magic. For all these poor people, they built a wing for those affected by magic. They died quietly a few months later. Since then, no one has tried to fight back against the magicians anymore. Caiman understands that if they hadn't helped him then, they wouldn't be sitting here now. The professor asked if Caiman knew that the rain in the hole weakens magicians. The lizard is not particularly interested. He's frying dumplings. At this time, Nikaido is thinking about her outing. Even Asu doesn't know who did this to Caiman. This is a dead end. Can you really use magic? Suddenly she saw someone. And at the same moment, Caiman burst into the room. Lunch is served. The girl tried, but the dough burned, and the meat is raw. He may not continue. He realized that he had prepared a slop. The girl asked, why does he cook at all? They always do. Food was supplied from the central dining room. The fact is that for the last month, she is the only patient. People disappear, but there are no magicians in sight. While they were chatting, Caiman ordered food delivery for Nikaido. Here, now she can eat normally. After eating, he put her in bed, let her get better soon, otherwise he already missed her dumplings. When they left, the stranger reappeared outside the window. At this time, Caiman was asking what Nikaido had told him. Did he see this? No, but what is it? Ticket. Something like a pass to the devil, which can be obtained by magicians of the highest level. Caiman understood immediately. They are again trying to convince him that she is a magician. Well, that's a fact. They operated on her with their own hands, and the bodies of magicians and people differ. Caiman immediately ran to Nikaido's room. She's gone. The window is open. Without thinking, he gave chase. The criminal dived into the alley and then into the sewer. The lizard followed him. Why doesn't Nikaido resist? Exactly. The professor said that the rains in the hole weaken the magicians. He's making his way further and further. All rainwater with the remnants of smoke flows here. He has a bad feeling, and it didn't let him down. An overgrown cockroach blocked the way. The Caiman tried to finish him off, but the armor is too thick. In the queue of the mustachioed, his attack was more successful. He threw the lizard into the swamp. So that's who kidnapped people. Johnson rushed to finish off the lizard. He even managed to bite off a piece of skin. However, that was enough for him. The Caiman took the chance and took off. There was a door ahead. At this time, the bastard managed to rummage inside Nikaido. But why doesn't she have a black pearl? Finally, the Caiman found it. He immediately grabbed the freak, but he called his cockroach for help. The big man immediately knocked the lizard to the ground. But don't let him kill him. You'll need more. Those corpses in the sewers are the result of his work. He was looking for black pearls. They are always inside the victims of magicians, but for some reason, they are not inside this girl. We'll have to take the ones inside the lizard. But obviously not today. The Caiman with a sharp blow deprived him of his legs, severed pieces. He threw it out the door. Johnson darted after them. The wounded man confessed. He was here that day and saw his true face. She was here too. He just wanted to be a happy magician. That's why I collected the pearl. The more he said nothing. Caiman dragged him outside. His friends were already there. It's a pity, of course, for this kind-hearted man. He had misconceptions about magicians and paid for it in full. Well, anyway, let him take an umbrella, it's time to go back. On the way, the Caiman thought that he had forgotten something. I really forgot. Let's return to the world of magicians. Fujita brought Matsumura's favorite hot dogs to his grave. Abisa assumed that his corpse was already covered in worms. But it's not. His body is not there. The freaking lizard cut him to pieces. All that's left of it is in the hole. The boss's sixth came for Abisa and wants to see her. Now he is posing for a picture. A smoke dealer was recently killed. He bought out his shop. And there was something interesting. A bottle of Ebisum smoke. Her name often flashed in the store records. This bottle will be sent to the laboratory. Soon they would find out what kind of magic she used. By the way, and tried to find Fujichi's partner, but no one responded. But Sin also tried to comfort the guy. Everything is ahead. He needs to look for himself and not rely on others. Pinocchio assured me that everything was fine. He needs to walk a little. He's gone. And instructs the cleaners to find the rice. There's a bug in his mechanical body. This will help. At this time, Fujita collects his things. He's going to the hole. Bracing himself, he headed for the door. The gatekeeper is ready to let him through. Pinocchio asked Abisa to stay here. But at the last moment, she jumped after him. And why did you just come here? Ebisu did not answer. Well, first of all, they should change into locals. Fujita took a gun with him. He hopes to kill the lizard with it. But how to get close to him? Suddenly, he noticed an ad. The Sharks need a mascot and a pitcher for the baseball team. It also said that last year the feeble-minded Caiman celebrated the victory. He is already devouring his favorite dumplings at this time. Suddenly another customer enters the restaurant. This is the 13th. And he wants to fortify himself with her legendary gyoza. The Caiman is angry, let him just try to eat everything. In addition to praising her culinary skills, he also approaches her. The Caiman is still thinking about how to react to this. Vox also came to the restaurant. He wants beer and sausages. The mood is shit. Tomorrow of the match they are missing a player. The lizard reminded, he and Nikaido are on his team. Victory is already in your pocket. But baseball plays 9 on 9. If they don't find anyone, they'll lose the damn macula. Hive a clinic in front of the department store. Fujita came there. He wants to take part in the game. The doctor met him. He knows how to serve. Well, a little. Then welcome to the shark team. By the way, syringes on his head, steroids. He and Fuji can such writing. The head of the clinic is a trainer. And all doctors are players. The coach hates the doctors from the central hospital of the whole, against whom they are playing tomorrow. Here, by the way, is his uniform and equipment. Fujita only cares about one thing. Will there be a man box there tomorrow? Naturally. Ebisu, by the way, got the role of a mascot. When they were alone together, she asked, is he not afraid to die tomorrow? No, and no one will care about his death anyway. It will be hers, for example. How would she come back if he died? Another bummer. Back to the Caiman team. The professor dragged a cockroach from the sewer. He's their new player. They don't have to worry about his bloodlust. Genialic controls it with the help of special waves, felt only by insects. He's even capable of saying one word terrible. Well, that's it. The team is fully equipped. But where is the third baseman? Kasukaba assured that he would be there tomorrow. The next day. The former torture square. 10 years ago, magicians were burned here, and now they play baseball. The game is about to start, and the Caiman is only worried about food, but Nikaido has prepared everything. The love doctors met face to face and exchanged sharp attacks against each other. So, the match between the sharks from the Hive Clinic and the worms from the central hospital begins. Fujita serves first. But then he saw the 49th number of the defender of the third base. They call him Frankenstein, but it's Matsumura. The professor literally put it together in pieces. In the laboratory of the estate of Anne with Shinano, found out where Fig. He's in the north. At the same time, the sixth found out all about the smoke of Ebisu, and is already rushing to report. But by chance he dropped the bottle, and it broke on the head of the foot. And she immediately became very ill. The transformation has begun. I will tell you the further events briefly, because the baseball game is quite filler. The main thing is that Pinocchio decided not to kill the lizard, but to save Matsumura, so that he would have the opportunity to resurrect him. 13th directly asked Caiman if he would mind if they go Nikaido out. The lizard said he wouldn't mind, but of course, this question pissed him off. And Nikaido, when she entered the game, knocked out Kochaku. Because of this, a commotion began, and under the guise of Fujita, was able to steal Matsumura. That's something like that. It's just that a real nightmare is going on at the Enna estate. They came across a dead servant. Fujita thinks only of his friend. We need to guide him, Kikuraga. At this time, Sin and cornered Noah. Hearthead asks her not to be afraid. It's him. Mahamur orders Sin to neutralize her. The analysis showed that Ebisu smoke contains black powder. Because of him, it decomposes from the inside. If it doesn't work out to neutralize, let him kill. But it is unlikely that he will succeed. Noah asks Senpai to run. She's out of control. With one blow, she tore apart Sin's mask, and then used her tail and grabbed him. Sin was not at a loss. With a powerful blow, he pierced her throat. Finally, she hurt him badly. And then they fell together. Hearthead survived. Hoisting his girlfriend on his shoulders, he and N headed for the secret elevator. And wouldn't have anything to do with this psycho, but he's the only one who can dispel the curse. Sin is surprised. He had always thought that there were two ways to get rid of magic. Either the caster removes it, or death. But in that case, a surprise. There are magicians, spell breakers. This one's name is Chet, and he's very happy to see his partner. And why hadn't he visited him for so long? Senna didn't think Anne's partner was this guy, but only something thinks that way. Having brewed of that, he listened attentively to them. So she turned into a lizard. He will help. After completing all the preparations, he informed her that the last ingredient was a piece of the inside of the person most dear to her. It's a romantic connection. And realized it was either him or Zin. But since the belly of the heart-headed sporet, they will start with him. Someone promptly took the necessary. After thoroughly mixing with the rest of the ingredients, he poured this mixture into the mold. And I got a little figure of the devil, and then I pushed it into the Pachudovish. Now Sin needs to put his hand on her chest and remember the best moments with her. After thinking a little, he remembered how it all started. Then they often returned to the task half-dead. Well, and the last touch, he let something out of his hand. Black smoke in the form of birds. They flew to No, and a moment later she returned. That's how. So she loves very much. The poor guy was embarrassed and immediately gave her his jacket. and hurried to leave, but Che is not going to let him go. He was still bored. At this time, Fujita's business is so-so. Ebisu's eyes were bloodshot, and Matsumura is yelling for some reason. In the hole, the professor looked worriedly at his watch. It took more than half an hour, if only Frankenstein didn't hurt anyone. Matsumura grabbed Fujita and sent him to the ceiling with all his stupidity. Then he decided to turn Abisa into a vegetable again, but she got tired of it. Daimana turned into a lizard and tore the offender to pieces. Fujita realized that she must have bewitched the Caiman. As soon as the threat passed, she regained her appearance. And I think I remembered something important. Meanwhile, something is checking out his tattoo to his beloved partner. Ebisu remembered bumping into a Caiman. Half an hour later, Sin told his partner everything. It's hard for her to believe that she attacked him. Fujita, on the other hand, begs Kikuraga to bring his friend back to life, but the Pitamets mistook his remains for whiskey. So, what's their bottom line? They found out what type of magic Ebisu uses. But did she turn that Chella into lizard? But he still doesn't get into her type of magic. Someone will be happy to explain everything. Yes, he's already walking freely around the Enna estate. Ebisu uses mutagenic magic that transforms an object into a lizard. But they are not quite common, all because of the black powder. The consumption of this stuff from childhood can cause a change in the magic itself. And in this case, only Ebisu can overcome the spell. In addition, the lizard is extremely aggressive, but it also stopped controlling itself, and even lost memories of the transformation. And her head hurts because her body rejects the black powder. Ebisu said, a man of his mouth was unhappy. He said he was tired of her. At this time, Risu returned to his home. He hadn't been here for so long that his beloved cactus died and a moth ate all his clothes. In general, he was finally convinced that died that day. But who did it? And why was his head left in that apartment? He was also resurrected by this Anne. He asked about 3 things: magic, the boss of the cross-eyed, and the lizard man from the hole. And some girl wanted to kidnap him. Some kind of nonsense. But how did he die? That day, he went to a restaurant to see Tenaba. Lieutenant Cross-Eye. He gave him a job. At 16 o'clock on the ruins of the Salmanzaro field to transfer a cargo of 5 kilos of black powder. Paid well, but instructed to go alone. Aikawa met him at the exit. He warned that the Cross-Eyes could not be trusted. And if he is in trouble, let him turn to him. As it was said, he arrived at the place at the appointed time. But someone attacked him from behind and cut off his head. The last thing he remembers is seeing the silhouette of the killer in the eye of the statue. He was cross-eyed. But why did he do it? He wanted the case, so many questions and no answers. The smoke level also dropped by half. If he hesitates, he will freeze in a few hours. Exactly. He needs to turn to Keikai. We return to the hole. Caiman, as always, is in a hungry bug. Only lately he had been thinking more and more about Nikaido. She suffered because of him. He doesn't intend to drag her into danger anymore. After saying goodbye, he left. This was their last meeting. Perhaps the next time they see each other, he will be completely different. But as long as he walks on the edge of a knife, he won't drag his best friend into danger. The next day, Nikaido found out that Caiman had left the hospital, and when she came to the professor, she found out that the lizard had gone into the world of magicians alone. Hello everyone, my name is Caiman, but that's not my real name. I live in Dro. I worked as a corpse washer, but I recently quit and came here to sit on a bench. It's such a time of magic that they've become quite impudent, I told myself. Turned me into a fucking box. And I have to find the magician who bewitched me. I was the only one left under the corner in the hole. I myself moved to live in the world of magicians. The only clue I have is Arisu's name. As usual, I went to the lower express bar. And I ordered myself a jar about Sivuk. Ut. But I don't have any money. So I ran away. Who should I give the fat to? However, in the lower express, Caiman found out something. He needs Kesby Park. He went straight there. But no one with crosses on their eyes was there. He began to question those who were nearby. The Selix thought he was looking for black powder, but that's the trouble. There are no more cross eyes. However, it may appear after the blue night. Caiman doesn't understand what he's talking about. But at least now he has a plan of action. I need to find a job near the park. If he lives in this world, he will be able to regain his memories and find Risa. All of this, of course, is cool. I want to get drunk. Need someone to rob. And then he heard screams. Some scumbags kidnapped the poor guy. But suddenly they were attacked by some Verzik. How dare they steal his waiter? He managed to cope with one. But the second one put a knife to the throat of his employee. Caiman decided to get in the way. He finished the bastard off without much trouble. The last one escaped. Looking at his sparkling heels, the lizard was surprised. What has he come to? Helps magicians. Gee. The chef immediately slapped the negligent waiter, and then turned to the benefactor. Is he hurt? Let him come into the restaurant. He has no money. They are not needed. He helped them out. Here, this is his restaurant. Killian met them there, she's not Maya. Well, now let them try their signature meat pies, and red wine will be perfect for them. Caiman asked, and who attacked them? They were gatherers. Before the start of the Blue Night, they gather magicians with different abilities. But why the fuck does he live in a mask? When he took it off, they asked, this is another mask. No, it was an accident. Where does he live? Well, he doesn't have a home. He was just looking for a job to fix it. Well, we can assume he found her. A couple of hands wouldn't hurt in this restaurant. His name is Tamba. From now on, he's his boss. And at Fukuyama, well, now let him go and wash the dishes after himself. So the new life of the Caiman began. We returned to the Enna mansion. It's time for them to prepare for the Blue Night. There's only a week left. It is held every 4 years. And Fujichi should hurry up and finally find a partner. But what about Matsumura? Ebisus advises to accept. There's no getting him back. Since the festival is coming soon, everyone needs to choose costumes. The designer asked everyone to tell about their preferences, and needs striped clothes with decorative elements in the form of mushrooms. You will also need to sew for a kikaraga. Shino doesn't care, the main thing is black. Noah wants something that is associated with brute force. Fujichi needs something fashionable with a herringbone pattern. Ebisu wants more jewelry, and Cheta wants to be like an angel. And doesn't understand what he's doing here. Like what? Going to be his partner? 4 years ago, he locked it up and it didn't work out. He knows that N needs a magician who can control time. But there are no more of them. He's the best candidate. Sadness does not lose hope. The tailor took all the measurements and promised to make the costumes on time. Before he left, Ebisu whispered something in his ear. Meanwhile, Kanu came with important news. It seems they have found a time magician. He had recently acquired a merchant's shop. They found data from a smoke extraction device. Most likely, the merchant was killed because of the last studied sample. The man who brought the smoke is the killer, and he is able to manage time, and ordered to return and inspect the shop again. The mansion is the main gate. There is a big queue there because at the festival, they will have the opportunity to become partners of members of the Enna family. You need to fill out a questionnaire and leave a sample of smoke. In the afternoon, there was a rehearsal of the celebration. Everyone liked everything, especially the lollipop statues. But N, as always, has few mushrooms. At night, Padasanovic looks out the window. It's been a hectic day. The legend, which no one believed, turned out to be true. The time poppy exists. Apparently, this Blue Night will give a lot of surprises. A couple of days later, the suits came to them. But she is also happy, but she does not really succeed in walking in heels. Sin, as always, does not change himself. Abisa, after taking measurements, was so envious of one that she ordered something for herself to beat the Jauntus. Shemanyo. But down with the comedy, the Blue Night begins. For 3 days there will be a real hell. Jid hopes that his partner will be a pretty girl. At the same time, the Caiman got in the face for constantly eating up the goods. The lizard went to throw out the garbage. It's strange, the sky is blue for some reason. When he returned, it turned out that everyone except him was going to the Blue Night. The chef ordered him to guard the restaurant. They will not be for 3 days. When they were gone, Caiman thought about it. If there are a lot of magicians there, then Irisu can be there. He's going there. The venue of the Blue Night. The main gate. All those gathered are warned. They won't be able to go outside until after the holiday. Everyone who has an invitation to the ceremony, let them come here. Fukuyama wants to go there too. But the boss reminded me. There are 2 important bigwigs there. They are from different worlds. The Caiman is already near, he needs an invitation. We'll have to take him by force. Except he forgot the knives. Well, the lizard coped in hand-to-hand combat. He hid the bodies nearby. He appropriated another one of them for himself. The other guards were surprised. Where's the other one? The Caiman lied that he had gone to have a snack. At this time, N is rehearsing a solemn speech. Fujita suddenly decided to ask, but how did No and Shin become partners? It's a long story. At the same moment, the attendants entered the door. In the hands of a list of applicants, everyone was given a huge stack. Even for Fujita, there were 2 contenders. But also upset. Those bastards seem to have survived. Yes, things are bad. Caiman is walking around the neighborhood at this time. Apparently, all these attractions are needed to choose partners. But what is it there? A flying house. Suddenly he was seized. There are not enough servants at the banquet. It will help. Let him collect empty glasses. While working, he saw a couple that almost nailed him in the hole. And there was Pinocchio and a skeleton girl in the back. and notifies the guests. They are gathered here to choose a partner. They'll start at midnight. You can use any means. Potential partners will have to get into the flying house. There will be waiting the devil who will witness the contract. For about all 3 days, only corpses will be released ahead of schedule. And one more thing. If someone makes an attempt on his little animal, he will kill it. The Caiman was found again. They found a worthwhile job for him. Clean the shit. Fuck. On. Clean the shit. Will they be through forks or what? Clean the shit to go. But she went to the lady's room. Damn shoes are really uncomfortable. Suddenly she was attacked. Minus the hand. The mysterious stranger will not wait for midnight. Sin felt something, but also in trouble. Meanwhile, a couple of suckers completed N's task. They found the recording from the cameras and found out who was the last visitor of the shop. Some yes at this time and everything works. After the Caiman left, the hungry beetle had visitors. After all, he often drove everyone away. But I wonder how he is there. N, casually sitting down to tell Fujita how his 2 top cleaners, Shin and Noi, actually became partners. It all goes down at N's old noodle franchise, a greasy little joint called Flower Smoke. In walks a scrappy, scrawny young punk, Shin, with a massive problem. He's desperate, broke, and tries to skip out on his bill, but of course, Noi catches him. Now, Shin is reluctant to fight because his arms are falling apart, but Noi? She uses her healing magic on him right then and there. She fixes his rotting arms completely, just so she can beat him up in a fair fight. Shin immediately shows his thanks by pulling out his hammer and stabbing her straight in the back of the head to make a run for it. Zero hesitation. He escapes, leaving Noi bleeding on the floor. Fast forward a bit. N gets wind of Shin and his uniquely devastating magic and decides to hire him, putting him to work at the exact same Flower Smoke store he tried to rob. The irony is chef's kiss. Meanwhile, a literal devil appears and drops a massive bombshell on Noi. Her final training exam for the Blue Night Festival is approaching, and she is strictly forbidden from using a single drop of her magic for an entire year. 1 year passes. We cut to Noi working at the shop, and her body is literally starting to mutate into a devil form because of her magic suppression. Suddenly, 2 shady, hostile magic users storm the shop and attack, trying to capture them both. Noi fights back with everything she has, but she's at a massive disadvantage because she cannot use her magic to heal herself. She's losing. Things look grim when one of the attackers unleashes a final, fatal barrage of explosive smoke directly at her. But just before it hits, a figure leaps in front of her. It's Shin. He takes the entire blast. The devastation is absolute. His body is completely flayed, torn to shreds, his skin literally peeled off to protect her. And why would Shin, the guy who backstabbed her years ago, do this? Because he never forgot. He had a debt to repay. She healed his arms all those years ago, and now he finally paid it back with his own flesh. Noi, heartbroken and desperate, breaks her year-long ban without a second thought. She pours every ounce of her healing magic into Shin, saving his life. But the devil reappears, furious, and declares her training invalid. Her shot at evolution, her chance to become a devil, is gone. All because she chose to save this one guy. Shin is crushed by guilt. He just ruined her future. But just when everything seems hopeless, N steps in with a massive grin and drops the mic. He looks at Shin and says, "You've got a new partner now." He introduces Noi as Shin's new cleaner. And just like that, the deadliest, most chaotic duo in the sorcerer's world was born. It's such a beautifully twisted love story. It's about loyalty, bizarre deaths, and how 2 utterly broken, violent people found a weird kind of family in each other. And of course, we have Chota interrupting the whole story to call it romantic, while Ebisu is off in the background searching for a mushroom to stick in her head. Only Dorohedoro can make you tear up and laugh in the same panel. The Caiman of Rice came here. I snuck into the quiet one. He's sure Aikawa will be here. The lizard, by the way, is tired of cleaning shit. He took off the annoying mask and put on the usual gas mask. It's time to look for Rice. But he was immediately knocked down by some reckless driver on a broom. Broke his thorns. Caiman gave chase and found Sin trying to figure out where his wife was. The lizard unwittingly witnessed the scoring. Dozens of syringes flew straight into the hard head. The sniper sitting in the tree is happy. Everything is going according to plan. Sin realized who was behind it. However, he did not notice how he fell into the trap. A chandelier with syringes fell right on top of him. The sleeping pills worked. An old acquaintance loaded the lifeless body onto his broom. Noticing the witness, he warned him. If he wants to live, let him keep quiet. Caiman was about to ask for the bazaar, but did not have time. The lizard decided to go in search, but suddenly someone grabbed him. It was the chief. How dare he leave the restaurant? Yes, he will fire him. Fukuyama asks Tambi to calm down. In between the blows, Caiman asked, has he found a partner yet? No, but what kind of magicians does he have? Making food. That's cool. He was just getting hungry. Fukuyama was frying and gave him money. The lizard went shopping. The boss is angry. And how much longer will he indulge him? After getting food, the Caiman remembered about Nikaido. I wonder how she is. Just as he was about to eat, he was hit again by a reckless driver on a broom. The cleaner's kidnappers met right here. Baku hid Noah in a special box that suppresses her ability to regenerate. Caiman got to his feet. Because they dropped his food, he would kill them. Baku shot Smoke, but the chief came to the rescue. Only he has the right to beat his employees. Listening, without saying a word, she attacked the kidnappers with pies. The chief swooped in after him. Caiman immediately asked for a knife from the cook. He can't just stand by. Baku was too strong, and the chief and Killian got smacked. But before he could finish them off, the lizard cut off his hand, and then cut off his trousers. His partner decided to take revenge, but Fukuyama came to the rescue. Using his magic, he turned the bastards into a pie. Go back to Chris. He came across N's warehouse. The smoke of the president's partners was stored there. I wonder if the lock is broken. Well, we need to refuel and look further for Aikau. But what kind of box is this? The seal blocking magical abilities, he decided to check. And suddenly everything was filled with smoke. But it also recovered. She hopes that Senpai is alright. Before the big guy rebelled, her smoke was able to completely restore Risu's body. Without waiting for her to wake up, he put on the first clothes he came across and ran away. Blue night. Afternoon of the second day. None of the magicians who chose Fujita ever came. By the way, he still carries an amulet for Matsumura's remains with him. How touching it is. Back to Chris. He was able to get better things and even found himself a mask. The guy is sure that the cross-eyed will definitely come here. But it's still unclear. Why did they kill him? I wonder what Seikawa is. I'm sure I've already found a new partner. Where is he? Suddenly he passed Caiman. Both of them felt something and turned around. But it didn't end with anything. But Kong also came running. At this time, he fights off those who want to become his partner. Have they not renewed the contract yet? The second day is already underway. Time is running out. But even in a panic, I went to look for Dear Senpai. At the same time, the sixes came running to N. In this picture, the one he needs. N recognized her. She came for rice. Everything came together. They will meet again. Then the whole room was filled with his smoke. And anyone who ever falls under its influence is vulnerable. He can easily cause her side effects, and this doll will help him. With the help of magic, he made a copy of Nikaido and then placed a mushroom in it. The devilissus looks longingly out of the window, but this time she can't escape. We are transported to the hole. Nikaido's back suddenly ached for some reason. She thought it was from fatigue. They're celebrating Sensei's birthday right now. Johnson even made a cake for him. The dog thought about it. It's been a week since Caiman left. I wonder how he is. Nikaido does not know, but warns in advance. She would go to him. Besides, the two of them will find Risa faster. The professor asked, faster because she's a magician. Doc, seeing her face, asked her not to hide anything anymore. They don't care if she's a magician or not. The witch hunt is long gone. Nikaido exhaled, and she assured that she had never gone to training suddenly. Any idea who enchanted the Caiman? No. And she doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, my back ached much more, and then a mushroom burst out of it. It's getting bigger, and first the arms, and then the legs have appeared out of it. And then he left her back. N is pleased, so she got caught. So her name is Nikaido, the lizard's girlfriend. Crip began to destroy everything in his path, and Vox tried to finish him off, but suddenly Enna's face appeared. He grabbed the poor guy and threw him into the ceiling with all his might. Nikaido understands, we need to act. I don't care about the wounds. Mushroom N, knocking out the enemy, but trickled straight into his face. Top yelled from the fight. He turned into a goo, and then into a mushroom. What can I say, the day was a success. Kasukaba set a cockroach on him. A noble gachapitva ensued. It seems that the cockroach even managed to injure him, but the vomit jet caught up with Johnson. The professor ordered to retreat. Nikaido asked to be taken to her room on the 13th. All the survivors locked themselves in there. We need to act, otherwise everyone will die. The professor, by the way, brought a birthday boy with him. And Johnson's leg is now also a mushroom. Nikaido realized this mushroom was created from her magical power. She'll be back soon. She needs to go to the attic. I'll have to use this mask again. Become a magician again. Asu made it especially for her. It multiplies its power many times. She has to use it. The mushroom broke down the door, and in the same second, Nikaido came down. With a powerful blow, she sat him down on his ass. Professor impressed. She has a cool mask. Nikaido destroyed the entire enemy without any problems. It seems that you can exhale. But suddenly a door appeared right in a pool of blood. Welcome. At this time, the lizard is hanging out with Fukuyama. The blue night will be over soon. The chef has gone to sell pies at the Ena estate. They can finally take a break from it. Suddenly they noticed a damn thing. Something doesn't leave the flying house early. Fukuyama asked the Caiman to wave at them. He agreed. Meanwhile, and set an overgrown mushroom on Nikaido so that she wouldn't even think of running away. The 13th tried to intervene, but immediately paid the price. It's better for him not to cross paths with Mario. The professor ordered Johnson not to climb, otherwise it would end badly. And wants to know if Nikaido is really a magician. But then the devils flew in through the window. They are very interested to look at it. Meanwhile, Pinocchio is one step away from depression. No one came. Apparently, he will never have a partner. Noah approaches them. Sina's dog is with her. His name is Gora Gora. She thought he would help her find Senpai. Fujita and Abisa decided to go with her. Just the dog picked up the trail. But Sobakin led them to a big pie. What a shame. And out of desperation, Noah settled on a bag that was nearby. His miracle. That's where Sin was. She quickly brought him to his senses. But this is not the time to rejoice. They need to update the contract as soon as possible. By the way, Fujichi should go with them. Maybe his partner is waiting there. But there was no one. In addition, Kik confessed to him. He wrote one statement himself. He was ashamed that no one needed him. So I took this step. But he had another statement. And as it turned out, it was written by Ebisu. Now they need to hurry up to make a contract. The guy is happy and scared at the same time. Back to N. His familiar devil Kidaruma is all in anticipation. The other devils are also looking at the Time Magician with interest. And they even shove their business cards at her. Apparently, In Hell is the favorite movie of an American psychopath. And is pleased. No wonder he believed. After all, he was not mistaken. An hour later, the devils are preparing to conclude a contract. And dragged Nikaido tied up and instructed Noah to wash her properly. Together with Ebisu, they went to the bathroom. But I also saw the state of Nikaido's back. But don't let her worry, she'll cure everything. After the procedures, everyone except Ebisu prepared to conclude contracts. But the unlucky one decided to look in the toilet before that. Nikaido is being watched by Asu. The ceremony begins. A pen was thrust into Nikaido's chest, and her chest was opened like a door. They pulled something out of there. Enna was given her contract to sign, after which the procedure was repeated with him. Sinona, by the way, has already been signed. Nikaido was forced to sign the contract. And then they shoved him into it. Asu was unable to endure it and went to the roof. That's it. The blue night was over, and Ebisu missed everything. Poor Fujita was so close, yet so far at the same time. The Enna estate. Until recently, this place was considered a model of peace and security. The locals were sure that nothing was threatening them here. However, the events of last night completely changed the situation. The body of a servant was found. Detective Cheta Duagrols arrives at the scene. In front of him is the body of the deceased and a number of circumstances indicating the violent nature of the death. During the initial inspection, a note was found. Its content raised questions. Part of the text is written in a clear language. The other contains characters that cannot be quickly disclosed. According to Chuda himself, at some point it seemed to him that he was being watched. He whirled around, but saw no one. Only a momentary glimmer of light broke the silence. The investigation continued. A camera belonging to the deceased was found among the evidence. Possible witnesses were also interviewed. One of them reported that on the night of the murder, he saw an unknown figure with long hair on the estate. This detail seemed important to the investigation. Earlier in the day, security officers mentioned N's partner. However, the check showed that at the time of the crime, she was in isolation and could not leave her place. The question arose, who exactly did the witness see? The answer was received after a thorough analysis of the evidence. Suspicion fell on the owner of the estate. The attempt to put pressure on the investigation did not give any result. The evidence gathered pointed to his involvement. It turned out that the day before he was in a state of strong alcoholic intoxication. The key proof was a photograph taken by the deceased shortly before his death. It was she who allowed us to reconstruct the picture of what happened. So another murder was solved. The investigation is complete. When he found out that he had killed his man himself, En almost ran away, but someone hurried to calm him down. Using his magic, he broke the spell. The victim didn't work for him. It was a reporter. Champignon's friend wanted to know more about En's new partner. That's why I arranged this masquerade. The fleeing man was the one who helped him. Anne is surprised, and how he was able to use magic while intoxicated. And why did the reporter fall? It's simple. His magic didn't work. The poor guy was just pushed out of the window by the pressure of smoke. Sometimes it happens that magic duplicates itself and is neutralized. So it turns out that people are immune to magic. His girlfriend also has a boyfriend on whom magic does not work. And is furious. And why didn't he report it earlier? Well, he had a lot to do. Meanwhile, the professors are being harshly tortured. They want to know where the box is. However, he retains his composure. Tired of the torture, the warden gave them the grub and left. By the way, the guys do not lose hope to return to their appearance. Johnson hides it in his house. The professor doesn't understand why they need a Caiman. But there is nowhere without good. At least he will write a book about magicians. The 13th asked, and what about Nikaido? The roosters think she's being held by her neighbors. To test his guess, he asked Johnson to give him a lift. He was right. Her case is so-so. The shackles have rubbed her hands badly. Kasukabs are very worried about mushroom companions. Because of the bacteria, the head of the 13th, Johnson's leg, and Sensei can forget. She can tell you what happened here in general. Nikaido explains. The devil placed a contract with En inside her body. Soon he will dissolve into her. Probably, when this happens, she will become a completely different person. But don't let him worry about her. She would ask En to let them go. Kasukaba assures that he will come up with a way to escape from here. At this time, the Caiman was in some room. He recognizes this room. I've been here before. But why is there blood on his hands? We need to wash them. As he approached the tub, he saw a pool of blood. He has a strong feeling that this door cannot be opened. He will be very sorry if he does this. The lizard decided to take a chance. Find a corpse inside. The phone rang immediately. This is the neighbor from the 27th. So, fuck. I'm going to fuck your head off to your fucking mother if you fucking shit on me under the door. Suddenly he heard a sound. The corpse from the bathroom got up. Caiman went to the park. There he wonders if it was his past or an ordinary dream. He seemed to have heard something important there. But he can't remember. Caiman afraid to explore his past. Rice says Tapasi that the corpse. So many riddles. Who is he really? And if he regains his memory, will he be able to be with Nikaido? Tambo pulled him out of the captivity of his thoughts. He demanded that the lizard explain why the fuck he comes to the park every night. The Caiman hesitates, but the chef knows how to persuade. After finding out what was going on, Tambo promised to help. And I don't care that he doesn't have money, it's not particularly profitable at all. If a person needs help, there is no need for reasons to help. In addition, Caiman himself helped Fukuyami, not expecting to benefit from it. But he will only help during non-working hours. And by the way, he has one acquaintance with crosses on his eyes. A sudden flashback. Risu had a friend Aikao. He often defended him, even when it wasn't really necessary. When a friend found out that Risu had joined the cross-eyed gang, he immediately warned that they were dangerous guys, and it was better to stay away from them. But Arisu thought otherwise. He is a non-entity who does not know how to conjure, and for the sake of survival, he had to join her. Besides, he was entrusted with an important case. He had heard that the Cross-Eyes were conducting their research in the village of Baris. They probably need the contents of this bag for them. After all, the boss of the Cross-Eyed promised to free everyone from the oppression of magicians. Aikawa asked his friend not to believe in stupid stories, and then he had a sharp headache, and he left. He often left like that, but where, it is unknown. The village of Baris. This is the lair of the Cross-Eyes, and the boss is probably there. Reese expects to find out who killed him. Meanwhile, Caiman, Chief Fukuyama are going into hibernation. Soon there will be an execution of his acquaintance. And just before he died, he asked for his signature pie. That's the destination. It's hot as hell. They made it in time. Shimizu will be executed today. Seeing the chief, the suicide bomber was delighted. Is he really going to be able to enjoy an amazing pie before he dies? By the way, he was convicted of defiling the devil. He was selling devilish manzas that tasted cheap and crappy. Caiman didn't let him enjoy his last meal. The Caiman's lodger looked at him carefully. Not him. But Shimizu recognized him. But he's dead. The big man pulled the lizard away from him. But it's important for Caiman to know what the person inside said. A trembling Shimizu said. The ghost of Risu said it wasn't him. When he saw the crosses on his eyes, he asked, "Did the boss send him?" Caiman noticed that he had something on his hands. The execution began. Right in the cell. Comfort plus level prison. The prisoner is being dragged by a mechanical devil. The Caiman jumped after him. He needs to know what's on his hands. Chief Fukuyama is terrified. What is he doing? He's about to be sucked into hell. But Ace intervened. He cut off the prisoner's hands. What is this devil doing here? It doesn't matter. Caiman put his severed hands together. A tattoo in the form of a face. Asu warned, Nikaido is in danger. She's being held at the N mansion. Let him help her. Boss dissatisfied. At first, Shimizu almost bit off his head, so he's also friends with the devil. Fukuyama believes that upon his return, it is necessary to force him to fill out the questionnaire again. Returning to Rustic, Caiman decided to go to visit N. Let your hands stay here for now. The chief was surprised. It's not Keita and his girl, is it? He even knows how dangerous N is. He turns mushrooms of everyone who interferes with him. So, the mushroom is on the back of a friend, and the thief wears it. Kuyama remembered something. 6 years ago, the whole city was covered with a cloud of black smoke. After a few minutes, the smoke cleared. Everything alive and inanimate turned into mushrooms. They were called mushrooms of death. No one knows what happened to his son then, but everyone knew that he did it. Caiman realized this guy is very dangerous, but he just needs a day off their bazin. He really thinks he can compete with him. The lizard doesn't care what happens to him. He intends to save his girlfriend. The chief finally decides to say. Tomorrow, he planned to go to the Enna estate to trade. It's a pity that he's already leaving. The Caiman stopped. At the same time, Baby Johnson managed to open the locks on the shackle, and then he managed to open the door of the cells. It remains to pick up Nikaido, and you can make your feet, but she's not there anymore. She's at a viewing right now. Kidaruma looks at her in surprise. I would never have thought that the legs of time still exist. And asked, does he know who created the mask for her? There's no doubt about it. This is the work of the axe. He always knew that the devil was hiding something, and asked him to make a new mask for Nikaido, more suitable. Later, he gathered everyone together to show off his partner's new outfit. Before that, Shin showed him Risu's body. Apparently, the search is over. Surely his head has already rotted away. Well, to hell with it. Better let them look at Nikaido. Honestly, even Robin is a more threatening partner than she is in this outfit. Kidaroma obviously does not often make masks, but she was also surprised she was too calm. And explained that the contract gives the power to manage a partner. She and Sin didn't know this because they had entered into it by mutual consent. Geets exploded. This bitch killed Matsamura with a pair of shits. We need to execute her. She's dangerous. Enna believed that everything was fine. She won't hurt anyone. Let them forget about her and think about shit. Pinocchio had to endure. Together with Ebis, he went to the park. No matter what he said, he wouldn't be able to forgive her for killing her friend. In a good way, he needs to leave, but he does not have the courage to leave his family. Ebis, seeing how bad he is, offers to hug, but it didn't work out. The professor and his team decided to rob the hard workers. That's where I'm shocked. It's his gun. Kasukaba turned to the 13th. He will eat, but he is no longer responding. Time is running out. If the spell is not removed, he will die. Fujita tries to remember where he saw them. Exactly. Baseball. He asks Ibisa to help him turn them into lizards. She is not eager, but decided to try. The result is on your screen. She didn't have enough smoke. Kasukaba asked them not to interfere, let them leave. Otherwise, he will prescribe them lead pills for prevention. And at the same moment, the inhabitants of the hole were attacked by Sin and Noah. Without difficulty, they scattered the poor guy, as he wants to die, with a broken head or from a broken heart. But after looking at him, I found out, this is the doctor from the hole. He immediately took off his mask. Well, does she remember him? Of course. What is he doing here? Husita in horror. What does the senpai do? Let him finish him off. Sin refused. This man had saved him once. But he immediately stopped beating. Hadzida is disappointed. The day sucks. Che was invited to Nikita. He wants to show her a movie directed by N. Maybe after watching it, she'll realize that they shouldn't be partners. However, this documentary never came out because it is not finished. Mushrooms of Death, Part 1. Hell. When Anne first opened his eyes, he saw mushrooms. Most likely, his parents also turned into them. He lived by eating mushrooms. One day, a stranger came out of his parents' house. When he saw the baby, he took him with him, but not out of good intentions. The bastard sold it to the factory. So since the infancy and became a factory worker, he was in a real hell. The factory was run by weak, useless magicians. They found strong magicians, chained them, depriving them of the ability to conjure, and then sold them. And worked at the factory for 9 years. Completely exhausted, and having exhausted the last reserves of smoke, he threw himself into the river. The devil stumbled upon him, took him for a dead man, and threw him into hell. When he opened his eyes, he was surprised. He's alive. The faces of the bastards who tortured him were in front of his eyes. After a while, the devils noticed him. A man in hell. An amazing sight. But even more amazing is that he managed to create a grove of mushrooms here. The devil who threw him into hell was called Chedoruma. It was he who gave him the name. 6 months later, he returned to the waste recycling plant, and returned the bastard's debt, destroyed the factory, and saved the magicians imprisoned there. The rescued were eager to repay him with kindness. This was to En's advantage, because he needed helpers. That's when the family appeared. It got bigger, and gradually they managed to clean the infection out of their world. Part 2. The Enemy. So 20 years have passed. A wave of terrible murders swept through the city. Some powerful magician was killing innocents. All the corpses were decapitated. Right during the discussion of the situation, the killer broke into the estate. Killed 2 and wounded 1. There was a drawing of a cross on his eyes. Noah cured the wounded man, but the criminal escaped. As time went on, there were more and more victims. He killed 80 people in 2 years. Noah was furious. Sin tried to calm her down. He assured me that Tenzin-sans will soon find the killer's lair. And so it turned out. A bunch of cross-eyed people are holed up in a flophouse. He asked to call for help, and immediately sent Sin and Noah there. When they arrived at the flophouse, they found a dead body. They thought it was their friend, but then they saw him around the corner. Noah started toward him, but it was a trap, and suspected that the case was too dangerous, so he flew there. And he did not lose, both were already at death's door. The killer knew their names. In desperation, the Sinamois tried to take him with them. However, when they looked into his eyes, a strange feeling came over them. They could not put up a decent resistance to him. The whole floor was littered with their guts. And when they were ready to die, and came to the rescue, he told Sin to grab Noah and get out of here. When he looked at the cross-eyed man, he immediately realized that he was an enemy. If he doesn't destroy it, the future doesn't shine for them. He woke up in a thicket of mushrooms. There was nothing left of the hotel. Its smoke covered the whole city. Everything turned into mushrooms. This incident was called the mushrooms of death. Then it seemed to him that the cross-eyed man had become one of millions of mushrooms. But suddenly he saw a headless body enter the magic door. I really liked the movie. Anne is already here too, he's really good. But this film will be unfinished as long as at least one cross-eyed is alive. It turns out that he was looking for a time magician in order to return to that day and find out what happened to that monster. Nikaido thought that the decapitated one looked like a Caiman when she first met him. Meanwhile, Noah cured everyone. Kasukaba hit the jackpot. As they say, do good and throw it into the water. So, the operation to rescue Nikaido will begin soon. Caiman believes that he is guilty of what happened and therefore must save her. In order not to be burned, he changed into a woman. And at the entrance, he pretended to be the boss's wife. The penetration has been accomplished, but not everything went smoothly, because there was a former employee of Tamba, Asuka, in the estate, and she is also going to trade here. Then they clogged up. Whoever sells more tomorrow will command the pies here. The boss is so confident of his victory that he promised to work for her in case of loss. That's what we decided. Asuka, by the way, was in love with him, and when she saw his wife, she got so sick. At the same time, Noah got close for Kasukabe and others. Sin warned them to forget about their comrades and return to the hole as soon as possible. He is grateful to them for everything. But if they are on the side of the lizard, they will become his enemies. Kasukaba laughed. He means it's none of their business. But 10 years ago, he also poked his nose into other people's affairs. And that's why they're both alive. Hardhead asked, does he like helping others so much? Yeah, not really. Just loves research. Sin noticed that the professor hadn't changed at all. Well, maybe stop talking, we should eat. We returned to the Caiman. He's on his way to get groceries. It is followed by the Asu. She really wants to look at the boss's chosen one. Of course, as a lizard can freeze. Here are the goods. Caiman immediately grabbed several boxes. Asaka tries to ingratiate himself with him and tries to lift the box. But apparently it's different from the ones in her hands. Not at all. The girl was stunned. What kind of woman is this? However, if there was such a taste, it's not surprising that he ignored her. Let him tell Wooly that tomorrow he can say goodbye to his bagel. Caiman asked, is there anything else? No, that's it. Let the cow go. Hearing this, the Caiman boiled with rage, but then he thought, why is he suddenly turned on? When he returned to his people, Fukuyama showed him the newspaper. It says about Nikaido. Was she En's partner? The Caiman was confused. Is she not a hostage? Or is it a double? What's going on anyway? The next day, Tambi prepares for the Battle of the Chiefs, and Caiman still can't come to his senses. He guessed that Nikaido was a magician, but he hoped that he was mistaken. Apparently, she doesn't need help. In the end, she was born here. We have to leave. But suddenly he saw Nikaido with his son. We will not stop at the Battle of the Chiefs itself. I'll just say that the whole estate was watching him, including Anne. At first, Asuka won, all because of a monster named Angel. With his help, she enchanted pies. There was literally an hour left until the end of the fight, and the chief has already accepted defeat. Nikaido, by the way, was left alone. Caiman noticed her. He didn't want to do anything, but that would convince him that this might be his last chance. Besides, that devil asked for help for a reason. These words convinced the lizard to act. He grabbed Nikaido and ran to find a way out. Finally, with a warning, he will return for a salary someday. Of course, if there is a place to return to, because the chef loses the dry one. But of course, he didn't lose. The fool went overboard with magic, and at the very end her smoke dissipated. Noah decided to try the pies of Tamba, and she liked them so much that she took 10 pieces at once. Sina and noticed this and decided to try the same one. There I would have prepared a special mushroom pie for the owner of the estate, and was delighted and awarded him the victory. But Asuka had to dump the wounded feces, because if Anne found out about the scam, he would turn her into a mushroom. At the same time, Nikaido asked where he was taking her. Home. He doesn't care what she's up to with Anne. He is ready to take her by force. But can it? She's Anne's partner, so she's not going anywhere. Caiman understood everything. That bastard is manipulating her. You just have to kill him. Nikaido grinned, and suddenly pounced on him. Caiman asks her to stop, but Nikaido not listening. 1-0 in favor of bad girl. And what about the face? Does he think that a woman is not his equal? Caiman admitted that he had never considered her a woman. Nikaido attacks again. Come on, let him take out the knives, otherwise it's too boring. Caiman asks her to wake up. But no, Anna's enemy is her enemy. Then the Caiman can't stand it and prescribes her friend's nose with all the dope. 1-1. Getting to her feet, Nikaido wiped away the blood. While our heroes were waving, something was praying to Satan. He wants Nikaido to die. Let him take his blow. Suddenly there was thunder. This is our couple. Something is dumbfounded. That bitch is here, and a lizard-headed one at that. Caiman asks her to stop, but Nikaido can't. She's a witcher. Girl attacked an old friend. Paul couldn't stand it. The Caiman flew into the abyss. Opening his eyes, he took off his mask. Nikaido is upstairs. His leg is badly damaged. With great difficulty, he crawled away. Corpses are hanging everywhere. Suddenly, he saw a silhouette, but it was a mirror. Nikaido jumped down to him, and Caiman heard a voice. Kill him again. A colleague, a friend. The Caiman grabs his head. Nikaido shouted, let him come out already. Suddenly, she heard something. Here it is. But there was no one. And then someone stabbed her in the back. At this time, something decided to see what was there. And then everything went quiet. And how happy was he when he saw Nikaido in a pool of blood. He immediately jumped down. What a joy! Satan fulfills a wish so quickly. Asa hastened to upset him. She's alive. Someone hopes that the devil has come here to wring her neck. But no, he would save her. Then let them return the donation. The devil doesn't understand what it's about. Asa examined her body. The wound is deep. And suddenly he noticed her contract with Anne. Feathered wants it for himself. No problem if he swears not to tell Anne about what happened. Nikaido opened her eyes. She can be calm. The contract no longer applies to her. Asa asked who did this to her. She doesn't know. But definitely not a Caiman. However, who could it be? Anne, by the way, is already looking for her. Asa warned. Most likely, her partner sensed something was wrong. Someone really wants to take the contract, but the exchange of contracts can. To hold only Chaidaram, and the liberation of Nikaido is a temporary phenomenon. She can become completely free only in 3 cases: after the end of the next blue night, the death of N, or in case of termination of the Chidarum contract. As long as she doesn't see N, she will remain herself, but she won't just hide. Since he knows where she is, they need to escape. It's strange, neither Caiman nor that person is here. She didn't see the attacker, but he had a human head. Asa saw a silhouette. At this time, the Caiman has a dream. The mysterious man said, "Everything is going according to plan. There are a lot of people around." He went to the payphone. No need to go to his house. There's something dark and evil inside him, and it's growing. It's not just anger, but what lives in me, trying to get out of control. Suddenly he saw the doctor's face. Nikaido followed. She was the one who dragged him here that day and called him Caiman. And it's very good, because the Great Dane offered to call him Pachishuya. And she also treated him to dumplings. Nikaido has found a friend, and is trying to bring him to his senses. He's all right. The lizard decided to check something. Since she's a magician, he sent her on a date with Reese. But he didn't recognize her. By the way, the reborn Risu finally arrived in Baris, but he did not find shelter. Maybe they moved. He decides to go to the store. One of the customers recognized him there. He's cross-eyed too. Therefore, for old time's sake, I brought him to a new shelter. Now they are huddled in a small shack and save on everything in general. Risu demands answers. Who killed him? He knows the killer was cross-eyed. Where's the boss? He has to see it. The samurai held a katana to his throat. Let him be quieter. They don't know anything about his death. Suddenly, they heard a noise. He's a buyer of old newspapers. Quick, let them run to the basement. There are 5 newspapers, and there should be 3 rolls of toilet paper. Let them grab them and run to him. They don't understand what they're doing. And let them turn on the lights already. No. They have savings, only at night it will be turned on. Caiman pulled Nikaido out. Well, what did he say? That it wasn't her. However, she knows that Risu is sitting there. But the lizard didn't believe her. But then I thought about it. Shimizu had said the same thing before he died. It turns out that he was bewitched by Risu. Asu immediately say where he is. The lizard demands to explain what kind of devils they are. This is Asu, Nikaido's friend. And who is feathered, I have no idea. Something abruptly closed their mouths. The church entered in. Things are bad. Asu immediately conjured a door and shoved Caiman and Nikaido into it. I don't care about the danger. He always wanted to help her in some way. After all, I couldn't thank her properly. When the door closed, someone asked, why didn't he go with them? All because he needs to meet with Kidoruma. It can't be ignored anymore. Although, he will surely notice the interference with the contract. He won't get away with it. But in order to slow down the process, the automated control system did something. Something in horror. Where did he get his chest from? And when he took off his mask, he was completely speechless. He looks and sounds like that fool. What did he do with it? Asa warned. You can go to hell for assault. Someone instantly cooled his ardor. That's better. He spent all his strength on this trick. This will give them time. Che was even happy. And now he can ruin that bitch's reputation. But he needs clothes, otherwise he will burn down quickly. Asu arranged everything. And someone went to Ed. It seems that now is the best time of his life. They got a reprieve. Asu hopes that it will last for a long time. But I wonder where the one who attacked Nikaido disappeared to. And was there one at all? It's strange that the attacker seemed to know about the contract. Is it a coincidence? Who is this Caiman? Had he done the right thing by sending Nikaido with him? Speaking of which, Asu moved them to some ruined village. Now they need to wait for the morning, because there are a lot of devils on the street in the evening and at night. And as soon as he sees her, and will know about it, Caiman decided to ask, is she a strong magician? Not really. It's just that her ability is incredibly rare, and she lost all her friends because of it. Her magic is very dangerous, so she doesn't use it. All her life, she had to hide from people like Anne. She always wanted to be an ordinary person. Caiman asked why she helped him. Deep down, she wanted to be a full-fledged resident of the Hole, so she fought with magicians. But she didn't always want to be his friend. I'm still surprised, but he doesn't remember anything. She doesn't even know who he is. Nikaido reminded me. She's a magician in general. Caiman smiled. Well, she's not much of a magician. Besides, there are good people even among magicians. He was personally convinced of this. Well, if she promised not to use magic, then they would be friends. The girl immediately stretched out the little finger. The lizard solemnly said, "From now on and forever they will be friends, no matter what happens. A pinky oath can't be broken." Nikaido fell asleep at night. The Caiman heard a noise and grabbed for a knife. But it was a mouse. And suddenly he noticed blood on the knife. Back to the rice. The cross-eyed finally turned on the light, and we will know their names. Tetsuju, Ton, Saji, Asamara, Dikyuga. Risu is pleased. He remembers their names. They're close bosses. The doctor asks, how long is he going to stay here? They just don't want to share dinner with him. Bottom line, manga is incredible. Add this to your shelf. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe for more dark fantasy breakdowns, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.